Alright, so here we go. This is solid rivets 101. First thing I done was I drilled that top rivet out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that to hold my gauge here in just a second. First I'm going to go over what the big difference is. This is a pop rivet. Pop rivets actually have a mandrel here that actually pulls up inside this. And when it pulls up inside of it, it causes this part to expand, which locks it in place. They're great for holding stuff together, but they don't have a lot of drawing power. They don't actually collapse it and pull it super tight. You've got to have it super tight before you ever put these in, or else it's not going to really tighten it much more. That's where solid rivets are nice. Solid rivets are just like what they say. They're a solid piece of aluminum, and when you stick them in, what happens is you see it's kind of loose, which is what you want, because when you start beating on this thing, it's going to actually cause this stem right here to expand out. But you hammering on it is actually going to cause it the pulling force to pull in. So it'll make the parts extremely tight together, gives you an extremely good seal around it, and it also gives you a really good, smooth, professional look. Now with solid rivets, if you're going to do it right. Get yourself a nice professional look by doing it like this. I always mark good straight lines, and that's what I got here is a good straight line. And make sure you space these out evenly and try to keep them as straight on that line as you can. That's where I made this little cheater bar. This bar, I built it when I was making my boat top, and I've used it on tons of boat projects, so these holes are watered out a little bit, but for the most part they're still pretty true. But if you haven't seen the boat top I made for my boat, it's got, I think, 3,500 or 4,500 pop rivets in it. I use pop rivets on it instead of solid rivets because I use square tubing and you couldn't get to the back sides of them. But anyway, I made this gauge to where I could put it on the corners and it would give me a good look, and that way I could space my stuff out exactly right. You can buy factory jigs, let's say, like this, that you can use that expands and contracts, and you can do all kinds of intricate patterns like they do on boats where they have multiple rows staggered, and it makes it a whole lot easier. But for our project, everything's just going to be a nice straight line. So I drilled out my top one here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just stick this right here. I'll turn it this way so you can see it. I'll stick this rivet in there just to hold it in place. A lot of times I'll go ahead and pop that in place if it's a small project, but seeing the fact this is going to be a pretty big project, I'm going to just set it right here. And you can see I've got it dead on that line right there. Now I can go ahead and drill that hole. And that gives me my spacing. So now I know by putting this one in here that this one's going to line up perfectly. Now you can see it's a lot longer line than what it is, so what I'll do is once I get the rivets in, before I put the last rivet in, I'll just move this downhill, stick it right back in the next hole, and it'll keep everything lining up. That way your spacing stays the same the whole way. Okay, so here's pretty much the basics. You got to use a heavy weight, and you can see this ain't a severely heavy weight. It's only maybe 6 ounces at most to put on the back side. And what that does, that gives you that force coming from the back side, so that when you're hitting it from the front, you got to use a air chisel, air hammer. What I use is a variable speed. That way you can do as many pulses or as hard as you want or as soft as you want. That way it gives you a lot more control. And if you'll notice, this thing's got a dome cut in the head of it, and that dome fits these perfect. These are a brazier head, so it fits perfectly. That way it's hitting the entire thing. I mean, you can hit them with a hammer and do it. If you don't have these other tools, you just got to make sure you got it against something solid. And something like this, what I would do is actually turn it up on its edge, stick them in from the bottom, and then hammer it from the top. And that gives you a nice strong seal. Well, let's go ahead and put this one in, and make sure you wear hearing protection. There we go. It's really that easy. And right now I've got this thing pulled in dead tight. It's airtight. It's watertight. That little connection inside there. And once you get it over there, this is good and as strong as any weld you can put on one. And besides that, it's going to kind of look good on this boat. Let's go ahead and get the rest of them put in, and we'll call this side the deal. There we go. Alright, I'm going to show you what we got here. You want these rivets to be about 2.5 times your actual thickness. So with this being like this, when I put these rivets through right here, let me push this one through. You can see it gives me a little bit over 1/4 inch, and that's about what I need for this material to get a real good head on the inside of it, and that's what you're shooting for. Alright, let's go ahead and put it together. All you do is you take your solid weight, put it on the inside, and there we go. Gives you a nice head on the inside, almost like the head of a nail, and that squeezes the two layers together. Alright, we'll go ahead and get this, you can see how good these look. We'll go ahead and get this other section done, get this marked out, and go ahead and get these drilled in, and we'll have this whole side done, then we'll flip it over and do the other side. Shouldn't take that long now that we got everything set up and got all the patterns ready. here we go. This side's done, and it's nice and solid. It ain't going anywhere. You see, it gives you a nice, clean, finished look. Looks almost professional, don't it? All right, let's flip it over. It'll be a little harder, but it shouldn't be that bad. Like I said, we'll do the same thing. We'll pick us a good straight line across here at this height, and then go from there. So here's how we make our pieces to put inside there. This little piece of 2 inch by 2 inch I just bent, or 2 inch by 23 inch. I'm gonna stick it out here about an inch. We'll lock her down. There it is. Nice rounded corner, but still a good 90-degree corner. We'll go ahead and get it installed. All right, I got all the rivets all the way around it, the solid rivets. And this one is going to be the passenger side. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a bottom in it, and I'm probably going to cut in a glove box. So I'm going to go ahead and make the piece to do this. I just got done making it. It's 1 inch by 1 inch aluminum. I'll show you how I bent it. But I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to go ahead and rivet it in. We'll put a back piece in. That way we have something to lay the bottom in. Alright, I'm going to show you how easy it actually is. I've already drilled the holes. I got them clamped in place. I got my two holding it steady. Got all the holes drilled. I'm going to go ahead and put all these in. That's it. That's all there is to it. Now that's nice and solid, and I can put my bottom in it.